A year ago today, I made the conscious decision to leave the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormon Church. And in a way, it's like today is my first birthday. I will be celebrating this birthday by going to tomorrow's Pie and Beer Day activities here in Utah. I'll be going on a pub crawl with some friends because I can do that now. And I'll be marking off another box on my ex-Mormon bingo card. I've shared this story before in bits and pieces on this platform, but as it is my birthday, I thought I would take a minute to reflect what this last year has been like for me. Because it was a year ago in July that my then husband left for the Pacific Northwest to start a career, without my consent, but as I was the dutiful wife, I felt like it was my responsibility to support him in this decision. And I stayed here in Utah to finish grad school, sell the house, pack it up, meet him there after Labor Day. But it was in the month of July, I was really weighed down with a lot of these issues with the church, with my husband being called of God to go to the Pacific Northwest and putting me in a position where I literally had to choose between him and my only child from my first marriage. I was weighed down with the challenges of being a mom of an LGBTQ youth in the Mormon church. I was weighed down with the issues surrounding abuse in the Mormon church and a lot of the abuse that I had endured as a child growing up and having that protected because of my abuser's membership in the church. And all of these things just weighed down so much that I started to question. And I listened to this amazing podcast on my commute. It's called Latter-day Struggles. And it's hosted by Valerie Hamaker and her husband. And it was remarkable. And I just binged the shit out of that podcast, listening to it on my way there and back. And even at night when I got home, I was obsessing about this and felt validated for the first time in my life that my questions and concerns were okay, that I wasn't alone in these challenges. And it was about this time, like maybe the 21st of July, I reached out to a friend of mine who had left the church maybe a year and a half before I had. And I said, hey, I'm ready. I need to know the resources. What am I reading? And she said, are you sure? Because it's a lot. Are you sure you're ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. Lay it on me. And she said, all right, these are your resources you're reading. You're reading the church's gospel topics essays, a letter to my wife, and the CES letter. Those are the ones you're going to start with. And so I said, okay. And I think it was the 21st of July, I started reading those and obsessing about it. This was finals week for my summer semester of grad school. I could not focus on any of my schoolwork. I was so obsessed with this idea that my worldview could possibly be wrong. So I emailed my professors and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm going to take a hit on my grade because I can't focus right now. And I did. I got really poor grades, which was fine because I ended up dropping out of the program as it no longer aligned with my goals. But I spent 3 solid days just reading and absorbing everything, listening to this podcast. And on July 23rd of last year, I'd finished reading the CES letter and said, well, none of it's true. I've been lied to my whole life. And I texted a couple of other girlfriends that I knew had left the church and I said, none of it's true. Let's get drunk. Later in the week, those 2 friends, plus about 5 others that were ex-Mormons or never Mormons, invited me to this party, this coming out party, where they listened to my story. They shared their experience and we laughed and we cried and they taught me how to drink responsibly. I didn't know the first thing about drinking alcohol. And they taught me, well, you need to drink water. You need to make sure you have food. They took such good care of me, and it was exactly what I needed in coming out of the church. But on the day that I decided to leave, it was a Sunday. I woke up that morning. I went to church. I was a nursery leader, loved those kids. I even went and had dinner with my visiting teacher, who was a dear friend of mine and who was kind of taking care of me as my husband was out of town. I came home from my visiting teacher's house and finished reading the last of those documents and decided, I can't do this anymore. I can't. In order to be true to who I am, to be authentically me, I have to make a decision that is going to change my life. And I did. My dad's birthday was on July 27th. He turned 80 years old. My dad is a wonderful man. I love him, and there was no way in the world I was going to tell him on or around his 80th birthday that I was leaving the church he had dedicated his life to. He had been an institute teacher, an institute choir director, the MTC choir director. He had been a bishop and a stake president, and was at the time serving as a sealer in the temple. I was not about to tell him around that time that I was leaving this church that meant so much to him. So I kept it on the down low. I shared the news with some other people in my inner circle, some friends that maybe had left the church, and some family members who had left the church. I let them know, but I wasn't going to let my parents know. Fast forward to August 3rd, a week after my dad's birthday, was my 45th birthday. And it was that day I decided that my birthday gift to myself would be authenticity. And I made a great big Facebook post, posting to everyone I knew, "Dear world, this is who I am. I am not moving to Seattle, as my husband and I are getting divorced. Tomorrow will be the anniversary of the day I told my husband that I left the church and our marriage went to shit." Just kidding. It was already a shitty marriage. It was my leaving the church that gave me the courage to leave it. Anyhow, in the Facebook post, I said, "This is who I am. I am not staying married or moving to Seattle. I am choosing my only child. Secondly, I need you to know that I'm leaving the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints," because on social media, I was that type of person that would bear her testimony all of the time. And I needed people to know that they would not be expecting that kind of content from me any longer. And as it was my birthday that day, I was going to be going to a party where I was not going to be wearing garment-friendly shorts. And some friends of mine that I had invited brought me alcohol for my birthday. I didn't want to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. In that same Facebook post, I said, I need a job. I need a place to live. And thus began a crazy ass year. And so here I am a year later. I do have a place of my own. I'm here with my 16-year-old, and I am so grateful every day that I chose them. I have been struggling with unemployment or underemployment. I've had jobs here and there, but I just got out of an interview where I kicked ass, and I'm hoping this goes well. I will keep you posted. But to celebrate today or commemorate this year out of the church, tonight I'm going to host a Facebook Live where I'm going to share my speech from the Sunstone Symposium. Last year, the day after those girlfriends of mine threw that party for me, I went to the Sunstone Symposium for people who have ties to the Mormon church, particularly for ex-Mormons. I went and I was drinking out of a fire hose, and it was so powerful. This year, on August 2nd, I have the opportunity to share some of my story and the lessons that I've learned along the way. So tonight, I'm going to practice that on a TikTok Live, and I invite you to join me at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. It's been such a journey. Thank you so much for being here on that journey with me. I definitely appreciate it. See you tonight.